see something outside of you that makes you drop out of the frequency of joy and happiness, then it is your contrast. It is your opportunity.
Yeah.
That is your opportunity to see it in a way that it's not detrimental to you, and that you can make note of what needs to change within you. You know, this is a deep truth. And we understand it at varying levels. And the bigger idea is that when you have gotten to the point where you can see that, you know, this is when you know you are creator. When you recognize you are creating your experience consciously, unconsciously, from past lives, from your greater DNA, however it's being created, it has to do with you are the nodal point, because it is your reality. So that enlarges you, because then you recognize you are creator. So this is different than a vision board. This is different than tearing out somebody else's pictures that they set up and that they had a stylist for and they got a model for. And this is your reality in front of you, is your creation. So if you abuse yourself in your reality with your other selves, if your other selves are unpleasant for you, this is an opportunity for you to do a self-inventory. It's the first of the year. We recommend this. You're having unpleasant experiences with others. What have you done to change that? Sometimes moving house is all that needs to happen. Sometimes saying no is all that needs to happen. Sometimes deep reflection, you can see in yourself how you have done that same thing to someone else. And then you can release it. You can forgive yourself for what you are or have been, and call for a greater experience from you. And then those who come into your reality will serve you in that way. Is that you can follow?
You're now listening to a Bobby Johnson beat. Hey, my main bitch and my side bitch mad at me. I get too for round up, hold me up on each of me. I need to go.
Tune in to Too Much Media.
Okay, hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I haven't been on here in quite some time. I was kind of trying to let Ramadan finish. I had a couple things going on myself. I was just like, now's not the time. But now it's back to the time. So I just thought, if you read the title, you might have been a little bit shocked or appalled that I would even dare write something like this. But I just wanted to start back with a little bit of a banger, a little bit of a shock value, because I just want the energy on this channel to be understood. You know, this is a channel for creatives. This is a channel for people who are trying to better themselves, think of new and interesting things, and discover more about the world and life. Now, should you be allowed or allowing yourself to hang around depressed people? So my rule of thumb is, if you start all that depressed stuff with me, that is the quickest way to never see me again. That is the quickest way for me to clock out. I am going to slowly, now obviously you're depressed already. I don't want to add to it. I don't want to be a part of the problem, because that's what they say when we discuss mental health these days. It's more like, you know, people are going through it, you know, it's hard. We need to make more of an emphasis on mental health, this, that, and the third. And so therefore, most people just coddle everyone around them. They just say whatever they think the person wants to hear, so they don't have to be told that you're the reason that this person is depressed. And I do agree with that to an extent. Like, why add to a depressed person's, you know, issues? Like, why say things to piss them off? Why, you know, trigger them to the point where they're deeper into it? It's harder for them to, you know, come out of it. The problem with me is, my mouth, the filter is limited. Like, there's a filter. Of course, I can control myself and be respectable. But at the end of the day, if you ask me my opinion about something, the message is gonna leak through one way or another. I might not vocalize my opinion of what you're up to, but the way I behave is gonna give off that I don't agree, obviously. Like my behavior might give me away, but I'm not gonna change because I don't want to hurt your feelings. That's something I get to decide about myself. You have to decide how to deal with yourself. They are two separate issues. It doesn't have anything to do with me, you know? So, in my opinion, that's why I prefer to exit stage left. I am not a character in this cast. I cannot control your depressive state, so I should just go because the only thing I could do is possibly make it worse. I'm not saying I will 100% make it worse, but it's like getting out of depression is a personal decision. You have to do it by yourself. No one can take credit for reversing your depression. So even if you're out there and you say, this person taught me so much, this person helped me out of depression, no, that person didn't help you out of depression. You helped yourself out of depression. Maybe the way that you helped yourself out of depression is by deluding yourself into thinking that person was the reason, but you're the one who did it. They can't force that out of you, you know? At the end of the day, if you want to delude yourself into thinking a person did it, then all that's going to happen is as soon as that person is not around, you're going to go back to being depressed. That's not the reason you got out of depression. You have to do it for yourself. And because of that, I just feel like, you know, my energy is limited. I don't have time to keep giving the amount depressed people need to feel okay about themselves. If you keep talking about how sad you are, how much everything in life is so hard, how things are unfair, not that I don't hear that argument, like, it's true. Life is not unfair sometimes. Life does have down moments. Right now, together, we could be going through something horrible, and that's why you're saying that. But have I noticed it's a pattern? You do that often about things that are like quite minuscule, you know? It's like, oh, I wanted to get this, but I didn't get it. You see, every single time I try to get something, this happens to me. Like, if that's your conversation, yeah, I'm out. Like, that's not me. Like, I just realized that over time, it's not to be mean or anything, but when you spend time with depressed people, you're asking for it. Once you start to feel down and think about things the way depressed people conversate with themselves in their head, what do you think that's going to lead to for you in life? Not very much. Like, I just don't feel as though depressed people need company. They're right. They're depressed. They want to be alone. You leave them alone. Don't go try to be Miss Save-A-Ho to depressed people. It's not your job. You don't work here. This is Earth. We all live here. None of us work for one another. Unless your company is Depressed LLC. I don't work here. Like, am I getting paid? Is there a check for this? Therapists, at least even therapists won't help a depressed person unless they pay. Why do you think so many poor people are depressed? They can't afford therapy. I mean, obviously it's not as simple as all of the things I'm saying, but the people who come to this channel understand that. They understand that it's a mental thing. It's more about of a mentality, less about specifics and little small nuances and person-to-person conversation. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is the overall general truth and what, in most likelihood, is what's going on in your life, which is the fact that you're depressed, but so is everyone else around you. You cannot spend time with other depressed people. How are they going to teach you how to get out of depression if they're all depressed? Go hang out with some people who are not depressed, but not for a long period of time. Because if you're not depressed, stay away from. No, but I don't know. Obviously, there's always a nuance to every conversation, but I genuinely do follow the rule of thumb for myself when I first meet people of being wary of them speaking negatively too often or seemingly falling into too many spurts of depression. Like, if that's really what's going on with you, you're not going to see me much. I'm going to be on to the next. Because the thing is, being depressed is very slow moving. I'm fast paced. I'm going from here to there. I'm doing this and that. There's no time for real for me to sit with you for so long every day, all the time, rediscussing old issues, which is the disease of depression. Depression is when you spend too much time ruminating about the past, when you focus on what's going on years ago, months ago, lifetimes ago, and that's all you ever think about. And then it causes this sinking feeling called depression. So another way to stay away from that is always thinking ahead, thinking more futuristic, thinking more positively. And unfortunately to say, you are who you hang around. So therefore, that's something that I really take time to now focus on when I'm deciding, how to manage in the world. It gets hard as a creative because you are so open to people and you are so willing to kind of adjust things because, it's creative energy. You want to mix it up. You can change from here to there. You can use any mood to express your creativity. Even a sad, downtrodden person can use that emotion in their creativity. So as a creative, it's very easy to start, it's very easy to focus on those emotions and try to utilize those to help you push forward. But the thing that you find is a lot of the issues that creators who are struggling to use their art as a means to live is that when you utilize that emotion in order to create, it takes longer to make things because you have to spend a lot of time feeling bad about yourself in order to finally feel one little spur of energy to do what you want to do. Whereas if you utilize other emotions such as joy, happiness, life, laughter, health, wealth, to create things, it breeds a faster paced energy. This faster paced energy you can use to make 10 times the amount of work that the depressed version of you would have never been able to get done. You will spend an hour doing everything you're supposed to do so that you can sit down and finally get your creative juices flowing, while the depressed version of you will lay around for hours, not get done what they're supposed to be doing in the first place, and then do maybe a little bit of something creative if they even have the energy for that. They don't even have the energy to do the bare minimum stuff to take care of themselves. Depression comes with uncleanliness. It comes with, a lot of sleeping, laying around. If you're spending all your time sleeping and laying around, how are you going to get your creative juices flowing? You don't even have time to do your laundry, pay your little bills, clean up the house. There's certain random tasks you're supposed to be doing every day that you haven't even gotten done? When are you gonna have time to do your passion projects or your little side hobbies that help your creativity flow? There's no time. You know, it's not enough hours in the day to lay around constantly. And that's what depression is. So if you want to go to your creative maximums, you need to stay away from slow moving things. You don't have enough time in the day to get all your ideas out, to do all the things you need to do. Sometimes I think of the most amazing ideas, but they're so complex. They would take so many moving parts, so many different people to help me out. If I ever want to truly get this into fruition, actually going, do you know that I don't have enough time? It takes so long. They shoot movies for months, for years sometimes. Sometimes it takes 2 years, 3 years, 4 years just to shoot a film. You're talking about you want to be creative, but you're sleeping half the day. Do you know how long it's going to take you to complete some of your more complex ideas as a creative? A really long time. So if you can't even pump out the simple ones quickly enough to gain the skill you need to do the complex ones, you're never gonna make it, Booski. You're never gonna do it. It's gonna be a problem. I'm trying to tell you. Okay? And then when you fail and you're downtrodden, you're gonna be more depressed. Because there's nothing worse to creative than feeling like they haven't created. So why aren't you creating? You're laying around depressed. No, we don't have time. And stay away from people who speak like that. It might not happen today. It might not happen tomorrow. But slowly, that energy will cry over you too. You will slowly start to feel the same way they feel. They even say, for example, like pets take on a lot of characteristics of their owner. So you see a chubby owner, you'll see a chubby pet. You see think about how even owners of pet and like dogs, a lot of times they kind of look like their dog, like they match. Like there's a vibe that matches the dog to the owner. You're like, yeah, makes sense that this type of person would have that type of dog. You know? It's like, makes sense that this type of person would have that type of depression. Makes sense that this type of person, friends, is also depressed. Like, be careful out here. Me personally, that's my rule of thumb. Like, you know, I'm not gonna be quick to get rid of you, but I'm gonna be quick to get rid of you. It's gonna be a thing where I'm just talking to you less, you're not seeing me as much, and slowly, I'm out. I don't have time for depressed people constantly, you know? But obviously, in your high moments, in your good times, come hit me up. Why would you even want me to be all up in your nose while you're not feeling good or depressed? Now, I'm not saying I will just fall off the face of the earth and disappear from friends who are going through a hard time. There's a difference. Like, we have to be realistic with the type of people we're talking about. Most of these people, they never fix their issue. And when they do fix an issue, they find a new issue to dwell on. I mean, you never have those type of people. You kind of gotta say what's up and keep it pushing. But if it's like someone who's not usually depressed and something happens where they need me, of course I'm available to that type of situation. I'm empathetic to those type of people. But I need to be more empathetic for the type of people who aren't depressed and are trying their best to do what they can with a positive attitude. Because don't they deserve help more than the person who's always looking at things negatively? I'm focusing all my energy and attention on you, who every time I give you a solution is finding a new reason to be upset. Whereas someone else who I would give a solution, help out, give energy to, would take that small bit of energy I gave them and utilize it 10 times more. This, for example, is why rich people don't give money to poor people. Because it's like, why would I give money to a poor person who, when I give the money, is just gonna spend it all. Whereas I know if I give the money to this rich person, they're gonna find a way to expand it all. Like, we question, why do they do this? I'm gonna tell you right now, that's the reason. They know that you would spend giving you money. It's kind of like just throwing it in a trash. Versus giving this person money is like ensuring that the world keeps spinning, ensuring that things keep going up, energy keeps high, frequency stays good. Whereas the opposite is true for the other type of person. It's the same thing with emotional energy. Why would I give my emotional energy to someone who I know the minute I give it to is just going to ruin it? Versus give my energy to someone who's happy, joyous, wants to think more, breathe more, live more. And I know they'll take even the tiniest bit of energy I gave them and keep expanding it and push it on to other people and give it to more. It keeps going out towards other people when you give it to that type of person. When you give it to a depressed person, it ends there. The energy just stops flat because that person takes it and just sucks it. Just sucks it all down. Sucks it all down. It's really, honestly, quite a scary thing in my opinion. And something I realized over time was maybe directly affecting me. Now I'm more noticeable about like how do I feel around people and what type of energy I leave with. And as a creative person, that's super important for me to continue on my path and my journey. How can I keep going if, I just always feel depleted? It's not a good idea. It's like also the other concept of like when you're on a plane, you have to put your own life jacket on before anyone else's, because if you drown, then what was the point? You could save more people by saving yourself first versus one person that you might be able to help by discarding your own body and energy. Like, I think about this video, for example. What if I didn't have this idea? Like, how would I have been able to have this idea or concept or come to terms with this realization if I was just laying around depressed? I would never have thought of this. I'm telling you, the way you feel when you feel high energy and you feel good about yourself is so on the opposite spectrum of the mentally disturbed that you can't even really, you really think of stuff and come up with things that you realize just how different you are from that side of things, You gotta make sure your space is safe, or else it just goes away. Nothing you don't keep up with stays. If you don't water your grass, then everyone's grass is always gonna look greener. Okay? Our grass is not greener. We just water it more. Thank goodness for a curb, or else somebody would mistake my grass for yours. And what would it be? Yellow, dry, and dying. That's no good. Save more. Save yourself first. Okay? Don't hang around people who seemingly do things that make you feel bad about yourself. Don't hang around people who are always in bad spirits and in bad moods. And that means everybody. I don't know who needs to hear this, but it's whoever that is towards you, You have to put up some sort of wall between your energy and others. I'm chilling out here, man. I'm trying to tell y'all. Especially as a creative, you're vulnerable. You're overly open to things. You're overly thoughtful to new ideas. That depressed person might accidentally convince you that their lifestyle is normal. It's not. It's not a normal lifestyle. You don't feel as good as you could be feeling, even if you think you feel good. You could be feeling better. What if I told you that? What if I told you whatever high you had, whatever great life or great thing that's happened to you, I could let you have a little bit more. There's more. So I'm just saying, even if you feel like this depressed person isn't ruining my life, my life is not going down just because this person is depressed. What if I told you if you cut that person off, your life would be a bit better? What if I told you not even a bit better, much better? What if I told you all the ideas in your life that you never thought you could think of just start coming to you? What if I told you that every single time you try to do something, it succeeds, it wins, it becomes 10 times more fruitful? You get everything you thought would happen with this new idea actually happen as soon as you're away from this depressed person. What if I told you that? Huh? I mean, people will a lot of times justify cutting off people for abusing you when they're abusing you towards you. Like they're verbally abusing you, physically abusing you, or just overall manipulating, gaslighting, you know, all the buzzwords, doing all those things to you. When you say you want to cut off those type of people, everyone understands. Everyone's like, yes, they were taking over your life. They were destroying your life slowly. Thank God you got away. But what if I told you that watching someone else destroy their own life is just as damaging to your life? You're literally watching someone do something that you know is harming themselves and having to just sit there and be accepted of it in hopes to have your presence be the deciding factor for them of whether to stop or not. I'll tell you right now, they'll never stop. They won't stop because you're enabling them by allowing your presence to exist amongst them. If you make it clear that the minute you start this, I disappear, trust. Either they'll shape up or you're free. You don't have to deal with it. So I'm just trying to say, it's like when you originally see the message of me saying, I no longer spend any time around depressed people, you might think that, wow, this person's very mean. This person is very cutthroat. Ooh, it's strict around here. Yes, it is strict around here. I'd rather it be that way. It's just to tell you, it's like, okay, I'm mean, but if the person was putting abuse towards me, then I would be justified. It's fine if they're abusing me. But me watching them abuse themselves is an okay reason to stick around. That just doesn't sound like it makes sense to me. It's like, I'm gonna watch you abuse yourself and feel bad about it every time I see you in order to be a good person. That sounds quite backwards to me. I don't know. I may be the one living backwards, but I'd rather it this way. It's okay with me. That's just my opinion. That's what gets my energy to a place where I can do the things I want to do in life at the end of the day. If I didn't have this mentality, I'd be laying around somewhere. I promise you that right now. Because a lot of times, you being joyous around depressed people improves their depression, you know? So it's like you kind of feel like you gotta have sad around them in order to make them feel better. And that's a ridiculous thing to ask of anybody. Stay away from these people with a 10-foot pole if you can, at all costs, okay? If they decide to act normal, sure. But if not, that's each person's individual issue to solve, because you watching someone abuse themselves is just as much abuse, you know? It's abuse on your hand for knowing it's wrong and allowing it to continue, and it's abuse on their hand for knowing It's making you feel bad and continue to force you to be around it. No, 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 no creative. I see who's gonna get far in life is gonna have time for that. I promise. Do you think that I was gonna start bringing in names, but I'm gonna start sounding like Julius. But I do need to look up if, like, what are the stats on, like, you know, depressed people being around other depressed people, and whether or not being depressed in proximity to depressed people affects you, because if it affects the pet, I'm sure it affects us too, human to human. And I don't know, man. I'm just saying, life's really short. You have a lot of cool things and ideas to give the world. Don't waste your energy on other people's issues. At the end of the day, when you leave and come back, they'll still have a new issue. You'll have time later to help them if that's the case. Do what you need to do first. If you're so obsessed with the idea of sticking around with depressed people, do what you need to do first, and then come back and save them. For now, don't save her. She don't want to be saved.
It is all communicated quite clearly. You know, who is the authority, and the teacher stands in front of the room, the class is in the seats together. The communication is physical, it is mental, it is psychic.
Yes.
You know, the doctor who walks through the ward where the patients are contagious and he does not get the contagion is because he understands that he is not of the frequency of the ones who are sick. He is the frequency of the ones who heal.
Yeah.
And so he is immune to the frequencies of the illness because he carries the frequencies of health, and then he talks to other people who are in the same frequency set that he is in, and they all play golf together.
And all of this is happening in the background.
This is all happening in front of us.
By through thought, through the biology, through the environment, the uniform, the roles, titles, badge, etc.
Or it's the same thing in the social setting when you walk into a bar and then someone walks in and they're dressed a certain way. The ritual is that, you know, they have low cleavage or short dresses or high heels, or they sit at the bar and they look your way.